Good evening. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order at this time. Please turn all cell phones, electronic devices to off or vibrate, whichever you choose. And Mr. Bob McDaniel, will you please lead us in our prayer and pledge this evening, sir?
Heavenly Father, when I stood in church yesterday, I was reminded of the tragedy that struck Ballinger in Rones County several days ago with the tornado. But out of negative things, bad things, sometimes come great things. We saw a great outpouring of love and compassion and giving, and we see on item 13 of the agenda tonight that people will open up their wallets also. So, a quote from Hemingway that says, "The world breaks everyone, but afterwards many are stronger in the broken places." And I think that applies to our little community. And from all of this, we really realize that God is really good to those who love Him. Thank you, Jesus. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Bob. All right, consider approval of the minutes of the May 20th, 2019 meeting, please. Is there any time to review? Any edits, modifications, spelling, docs, all that good stuff? Nobody's talking? All right, motion to accept minutes is presented, please.
I make a motion.
Second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, any citizen who desires to address the city council on a matter not included on the agenda may do so at this time. Per the Open Meeting Act, the city council may not deliberate on items presented under the agenda item. All presentations are subject to a 5-minute time limit. Now, this is the time that if any of you are here that would like to speak, this is the time to do it, unless you're on an agenda item. If you speak out of term or try to join the conversation of the council, which is where we have on the agenda items to discuss and consider, that is for the council. Unless I call upon you or you raise your hand and can call the phone. Okay? Everybody good? Good. All right. If anybody needs to speak, that's not on the agenda. If you're on the agenda, you're good. All right. City Council may consider, discuss, and authorize consulting service agreement with Frost Insurance to assist the city in seeking competitive sealed proposals for employee health, dental, vision, and life insurance. So,
we have recently been pursuing a better healthcare system, or at least making sure that what we have is the best for our employees. So we have looked at getting an insurance consultant, someone who knows the industry very well and can negotiate on our behalf. We have found Aaron Pratt with Frost Insurance, and we would like to proceed consulting with him.
is he basically a broker or similar to a broker?
Well, yeah, when you call it a broker, you know, are we going to buy insurance from him? No, we're going to look at different insurance companies and see if he's,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, anybody have any other questions?
we pay this way.
Just a nominal fee, and then if he, whatever company, if we end up hiring, he may get commissions through them.
He will
Where
mainly,
is this person?
he will mainly get paid, if we choose an insurance company, they pay him on the back end.
Where is this person?
I believe he's based out of Dallas Fort Worth.
Okay. And how did you find him?
We found him through the Ballinger healthcare system. Our counterparts up there, they've been using him as well to do their insurance negotiations.
I make a motion that we authorize.
Did you have a question?
I just said, is that home health you're talking about?
No, the Ballinger Hospital.
About
But I think he has worked with home health I think he's worked with Winners, different organizations in the area. So,
Right, everybody good? Right, carry on, Christie.
Where was I? I make a motion to authorize the city staff to seek competitive seal proposals for employee health, dental, vision, and life insurance for the fiscal year of 2019 through 2020.
Second.
well, no, that was Ted.
Wrong line?
Yep, number 5. It's all good, girl, it's all good.
You're almost there.
I do the same thing sometimes, it's all
We
good.
are on
5.
5, okay. I authorize consulting service agreement with Frost Insurance to assist the city in seeking competitive sealed proposals for employee health, dental, vision, and life insurance.
All right.
I rescind her motion on 6 and second her motion on 5.
All in favor? Aye. All right, city council may consider discussion and authorize the city staff to seek competitive sealed proposals for employee health, dental, vision, and life insurance for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Currently, we do not, well, our system that we have with TML, Texas Municipal League Insurance, it's very expensive to cover dependents. We do cover the employee, but the dependents, it's very costly under the plan that we're currently on with TML. That's why we're seeking other bids from different insurance carriers to see if we can lower that cost so we can start having dependents covered under our current healthcare system. So we're going to go out to bid and try and get this going, hopefully, before the first of the year. That way we can budget accordingly for next year. So
That's great.
we just need the authorization to go out to bid.
All right, motion to seek competitive sealed proposals for employee health, dental, vision, and life insurance for fiscal year 2019.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Now, y'all get on top of each other. I expect the same in agenda time. That's the adjourning time. Okay?
Adjourning time?
Yes, y'all are always slow on adjourning. All right, city council may consider, discuss, or authorize here a proposal to install disc golf course in the Ballinger City Park. You do have an addition to your packet that was here when you got in. And I believe, did you come in? There he is. I thought I saw him.
Yeah. This was on the agenda last week. He was sick, so he wasn't able to come in. Our proposal was to put up a disc golf course in the Ballinger Municipal Park. And he's mapped out some areas where he thinks, what's the post? Is it a basket or what?
There's baskets and tee signs. You can have tee boxes, but I thought tee signs would be better because it's just less.
I understand, but I didn't know what the official term was for the post with the baskets. Is that the goal?
It's just a disc golf. It's just a basket, yeah.
Okay, the disc golf.
Yeah.
So what would it involve is using his design. We would purchase, I believe it was $3,000 worth of materials, which would include the baskets for 9 holes.
Right.
And then him and possibly some of the city workers would help install.
Right.
And I think you have some friends that might.
Yeah, the Contra Valley Disc Golf Association in San Angelo is pretty excited about it, and there's not a shortage of volunteers. They want to help. The baskets have a 30-year warranty, which is really nice. And they come with the metal sleeves. They can be taken out if we wanted to later at the festival in the park. They can be removed temporarily.
Let's tell everybody who you are first.
Okay, my name's Paul Harris. I'm the assistant editor at the Standard Times. I moved here to Ballinger about 4 years ago. Married a teacher out here. And when I first moved out here, one of the things I missed was disc golf. San Angelo has 6 courses.
Ron has a course.
Bron has a course, so that became kind of my home course when I moved out here. I started playing at Bron a lot. And then I started looking at the park here and thinking, man, it should be a great place for a course. My main concern was safety, because I played with my kids, I know the course well, and I was thinking, you know, a lot of this park could not be used because of the dangerous way getting hit with a disc. But the more and more I looked at the park, really most of the main area of the park would not even need to be used. 7 of the 9 holes would not be in the main park. The first 3 would be in that little pocket right there where the stairs are leading up to the community center. That's really perfect because there's not much traffic through there, and I could put the first 3 holes there. I spent a lot of time mapping this out as kind of a hobby. It's almost like a puzzle I thought I could put together if I just kept working on it. But so the first 3 holes are really the best safe that you get. Number 4, when we move on to number 4, that's the one I spent the most time on because that's the one that actually goes through the park. But it's past the pool, it's past the playground area, and it goes to that corner, you know, out there where there's, if you look at the picture, there's really not a lot there. The only real issue is the picnic tables on the sides, and that's where I kind of set it up with the T would be right a tree there, so I feel like it's not gonna, it's only 160 feet I measured. I feel like there's not really any traffic through there. I mean, I've been to this park a bunch of times.
I saw you down there this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep trying to.
He was loading the basket in his car, I believe.
Yeah, I keep trying to go down there and just make sure I feel good about every location and just keep looking at it and making sure. I feel like this is the best spot to tee off and then put the basket between those trees back there. And you know, if for some reason somebody's having a picnic there or something, then you just wouldn't play that hole. I mean, I've seen it before, other multi-use.
Or come back and play it.
Right. I've seen some of the San Angelo parks have way more traffic, and you just have to not be dangerous. That's the hole that I was most concerned about. See, number 5 goes to that little woodsy tunnel there on the right. Again, there's just no real issue at all. I mean, the disc can land in the street, you just go pick it up. It's a low traffic road too, it's not, you know. Right. And then the hole number 6, I think it's really pretty. It goes over that bridge right there. Again, it's just a very low traffic area, very, very pretty area. Hole number 7, again, the only real concern is the disc landing in the street. But again, since it's such a low traffic, low speed road, it's not a huge concern. Hole number 8 is the same thing. It's just a nice wide open shot out there. So really 7 of the 9 holes don't even involve the main area of the park. And then hole number 9, again, I stayed at the very back corner of the park here and just kind of went to that tunnel of trees right there. I've got it set to where I don't feel like the angle is possible for it to swing out into that putt-putt or dog park, whatever it's going to be. But so even the 2 that are in the main park, they're in the back corner, and I feel like it's pretty darn safe. And really, I compromised. If I could, I would make these holes longer and more challenging, but safety was just a priority on every single hole. So that was my main thing I wanted to address, was just to make sure it was safety and not make sure the safety was there and not present it until I felt like it was safe. And so that's it. And there's really just not room for any more. Right. You know, I don't think I can find a 10th hole hardly. So that's pretty much
your spiel.
Yeah, that's pretty much my spiel, you know.
Now, you're saying the San Angelo Disc Golf Association.
Yeah, the Contra Valley Disc Golf Association.
Yeah, they're excited about it.
They are.
So we might anticipate people from out of town coming in.
I think so. I think San Angelo, Abilene has 4 courses, San Angelo has 7, Brownwood has 3, Coleman has 2 courses. There's lots of courses in the area, and most of them are in city parks. And so I've gone to a lot of these city parks and kind of tried to model them, you know, look at how they did it and try to model it after that. But my hope is that we would get some good traffic from San Angelo and Abilene.
Right. Well, that would be our hope as well.
Yeah.
Paul, I was in Broncos, and there's a guy over there that won the last tournament in San Angelo. Munoz, I think was his name. Anyway, he said like 200 people participated in that. And a lot of those people come over here.
Wow, 200 people? That might have been the one they have the lake.
Yeah, probably so. He didn't specify,
Okay.
but he was playing a problem. And that one over there, you know, all those baskets are real close to those picnic tables.
Right.
Yeah, but here, I noticed you've kind of diverted away from all of that, and looks like a very safe course.
Yeah, and 50 Ditch St. Angel's losing discs in the rivers there too, which people hate that.
More hazard, right?
Yeah. You don't get your disc back, that's bad. Yeah. But I reached out to Jason Moore. He was a part of the design of 4 of the St. Angelo courses, and he was a real invaluable resource in kind of leading me the right way and how to design it and making sure it was safe and whatnot, you know.
Right.
So even though I've never designed one, I talked to someone that's designed 4. He gave me some pretty good guidance.
So with this regulation, I mean, could we hold tournaments and whatnot here? Would people come?
We definitely could, and see the Comptroller Valley Disc Golf Association, they do like mini tournaments where people come out, they'll just pay $5 to play, and they'll do doubles and things like that. And they want to put this on the schedule because they kind of put the same few courses over and over there. But we could definitely do a tournament here. Now, because it's only 9, that would limit us.
What's normal?
If you're going to tournament, typically you have 18.
Okay.
You know, but I mean, also you can set up alternate tees, or you can just play the same 9 twice. But and it's been a while since there's been a new course in the San Angelo area, so I think people are, from every I've talked to, pretty excited about it. And even the lack of distance hasn't been a huge concern because it's something different. This is more like some Austin courses that you'll see, where it's a little tighter and more technical. A lot of the San Angelo courses have a lot of space and you're just chunking it way out there. And some of them really aren't very safe. You can land in people's yards and stuff. And so I feel like this is a lot safer than some of the San Angelo courses.
What happens if, say, number 4 doesn't turn out to be as safe as you think, where it ends up with too much track or something? How hard is it to move it or to?
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna say, just the one question I had was, why could number 4 be more parallel to that road? You know, move down toward the bottom of the screen and run parallel with that road there and get out there.
The other way, like 5 is the other?
Yeah.
It's on the other side of the road.
Just probably the other side of 5, basically. And that would get you out of the middle of that area and maybe.
Or is that going towards those slides and stuff that are down there?
No, you
You're
can have
shooting
slide.
this way, so.
Okay.
Of course, where number 4 is, Paul, there's no picnic table.
Right.
There's not that half there.
They're off to the.
Yeah, the main thing was that one to the right. And I've seen people there stop there. And so that, I was
But the
really
team
trying
would
to
be closer to that, right?
You'd be throwing in the direction of the bridge, that old
Right.
bridge.
Yeah.
I like it the way it is. That was just the only one question I was gonna ask you about. Maybe bringing that down toward the road and you avoid that whole grassy area
I had,
and eliminate a little bit of that potential safety.
the main thing was that picnic table was right in the way. 'Cause I thought about that too. That picnic table was right there on the side of the road.
Where's
And,
the picnic table in that picture? I can't make it out.
See it.
So I was thinking it was further back toward the
it's
hill.
not far across the road from number 5 tee, honestly. The picnic table's right about there.
Maybe you could tee a little further away from the road and have your basket toward that corner, closer to the 9 basket, maybe even. And that would get you out of the middle of the area.
Well, the reason I picked the middle is simply because there was nothing there. The picnic
You got a
table.
straighter shot,
Yeah,
like
anywhere-
overview.
Yeah, it was really challenging because almost everywhere I went was picnic tables or playground equipment. And
Right. Well, obviously I haven't been out there and looked at it like you have. I'm just
right.
questioning. I mean, I like the whole idea. I'm glad I'm hoping we can get this going. But I just had that one question.
Was that picnic table, is that one of the cement on concrete?
It is.
We took all the dilapidated ones out last year and we replaced all the other stuff, so it's probably one of the ones that's okay. Yes?
No, I like it.
There's no way to.
Yeah.
Most likely if we left it, it was okay.
I think it's a great idea.
Hi.
I think you'll have to teach me how to play.
Yeah, definitely. That was the only concern I had, or another concern I had is there's nowhere to buy discs in Ballinger.
We'll have to mention that to Walmart.
Yeah, I thought about that. I checked and they didn't have them.
Do they carry them at other Walmart?
They do.
Okay.
Surely they can get them.
Yeah,
Our stock
that's what I was
is
gonna
supply for us.
Might not be a sell out in the
Stock
now, but we
full
start
for
getting.
sale.
Well, or one of our shops downtown might be able to carry it.
That's what I thought too. Maybe one of them
Very
would
good.
like me to go to this one.
There's plenty of places that let us carry it on.
They work.
I like it.
Not the hard, never.
And I'll just throw one more thing out there too. The great thing about this is, after the initial cost, there is no maintenance. Everywhere the baskets are is where it's already mowed. You know, there's no additional upkeep or anything like that.
Right.
That's a real benefit of it, is once you get it in there, it's free to play, people can, and
Right.
shouldn't be any additional cost, I don't feel like.
Right. Now, you've gone out and you've set a budget of $3,000 and you were right at that number, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it may go a little bit with like the bags of concrete to but
Right.
it should be right about 3,000 to 3,200.
Right. Okay. Now, there's only one other person I know of that is into disc golf.
Ms. Ross?
Yeah, Mr. Ross. What do you think of this course?
Well, I'm for any course in Ballinger. It's only 9 holes. Can we hold tournaments there? We could. How many people will we get for 9 holes in the city park? I'm not sure. It's a good start. It's a good start for disc golf.
Yeah, we did a combo with Ron or Coleman, honestly, to held a real tournament.
How many holes are in Ron?
Ron has 9, Coleman has 27.
Wow. They have a 27.
They have an 18-hole course at the lake and a 9-hole course in their city park.
Okay. So that's something that we could
Which
look
lake?
at.
At their Lake Coleman Lake or Fort
Memory
Spring?
Lake, which I'd never seen before until I went there just to see the disc golf course. It was really nice.
Memory Lake?
Yes, right outside of town. I know I just heard of like Ford's Creek, I think. Is that
Or there's Fort Creek.
Yeah, but Memory Lake is this,
Is that north, northeast?
I guess it's southwest of town.
Oh, well, I don't know that one.
It's a nice area, and I never would have seen it had I not gone there.
So they
Specifically for
basically
course.
started cleaning it up, and mowing it.
So it's been there and they're developing it.
Yeah, it kind of just wasn't being used, and they put out this disc golf course and mowed it, and people really poured out to it.
Well, so this is something we might look at putting up at our lake as well.
I had looked out there at the lake. Part of the reason was, well, for one, it was like 4 miles outside of town. It was kind of just flat out there, not a bunch of trees. I mean, maybe
Maybe
like,
the trees, that's what I was going to ask, because I was thinking about how a lot of the junior high was.
I think
For a big course.
the more the terrain change, the more difficult it is, the better off I think the
The
course
call
is.
you want trees, because y'all bank around those trees.
yeah, I think so. You can use it as a tunnel or look around or whatever.
So, I mean, later on, we could look to add 9 more holes. Is the park big enough for 9 more holes? Later.
On the
Like initially
road, we
start
may
this.
have more development along the river.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Just
Just looking down the future, like maybe we could, we could add to this course later on.
right now you can start this. If you push out towards the tennis courts
Yeah.
on the old Indian Trail,
Yeah.
that would be something you could look at as well.
Very cool.
Well, this is a start, then we see how it does and see what happens and how many people are interested and go from there.
Might
If
get
you really want to water that, you might could go across the dam.
Not during the rain.
Not during monsoon season.
You might have to skip that hole every once in a while.
All right, any other questions, comments? No?
So, no, is the park board going to help at all possibly? Are we looking at funding this ourselves in just the city funds or?
You know, right now, just the city fund, they agree to the concept, but they're, I think their funds are obligated unless they want to start selling bricks.
Right. Just asking. Covering all the bases.
Yeah,
There's one more thing I forgot to bring up is that on hole number 3, I didn't really notice this until the pool started parking. Parking for the pool people are parking right there,
Yeah.
kind of right on the line of where we would throw at.
Yeah.
For the most part, most of those vehicles will not be in the way. If we could put up a few rocks or a sign or something to keep people in those first few spots right from the basket, then I feel like it would be okay. But I saw like some of the lifeguards parking like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a shade.
Yeah.
It gives them a little shade.
right.
yeah.
I noticed that
Yeah,
too.
you put that in there, that'll go in another place.
Definitely want to put a rock in front of her. Well, we're gonna run right through your tee, your basket.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Right, motion to install the disc golf course in the Ballinger City Park as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
sir.
Rick and Christie were second. So
Four.
Four.
I got 4.
All right, city council may consider, discuss, and authorize an amendment to the city park and recreation ordinance, section 17.5-27B, to change the hours of the city park and open to the public from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. to 12 midnight. So,
We're having movie night at the pool now, and sometimes it won't start till 9 o'clock. And that puts some of our patrons out of the park after 10. And it just, some of our events do run later at night when we do have them. And just to keep our ordinance in line with some of the events that we're having, we're proposing just to move it to 12 o'clock.
well, that's only seasonal. We haven't had an issue with that being seasonal, but if you turn it into where it's all the time, then I think that becomes an issue.
What's the issue though?
Well,
That's what I don't know, is I always want to know the curfew in the first place.
well, and yeah, I don't know.
As far as the park,
Yeah,
just as far as when people are down there camping, you don't have a whole bunch of people just driving through the park or a party, but if there's an event, the event is usually held by the city and managed by the city, so it's not usually an issue.
Additionally, there have been some instances I've been aware of where if someone rents the pavilion or if they have a reunion down there, sometimes at 10 o'clock, they have to disperse, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. That's why I'm bringing it to the council.
Depends on how much they have to do.
It is exactly.
What do you think, Stan?
I mean, we use it as an ordinance to keep the riffraff out of there. I mean, we don't bother people walking at night. You know, I know there's several people that walk in there after 10 o'clock. You know, it's basically we just try to keep the riffraff out, and we don't bother anybody that's, just walking or, camping down there. We don't ID them or nothing like that. So it's basically people walking around the hill, doing stuff they shouldn't. So.
But doesn't this come in conflict with the curfew?
Well,
Curfew is for midnight.
I'm sure.
The city curfew?
Yeah.
For juveniles is at midnight.
Okay.
So there's no conflict in it. It just actually helps us because they can't be in the park at 10.
Okay.
So it gets them out of the park if they're trying to hide from you.
well, gives them a reason to go down and look, and if they see somebody after 10 o'clock, the ordinance is whether matter or not you want or choose to enforce it.
That's what you want to.
Yes, I do.
For what reason?
Well, it keeps us in line with our curfew. If you have people who have rented the,
Pavilion.
Pavilion.
the pavilion, they can have it till at least midnight before they really need to leave. We do have some reunions that come up down there.
Do they have some sound ordinances? Because I know if you look on the Carter, you can hear everything at the park.
That's what I'm saying.
And if
That's
there's
gonna be
a, party going on under the pavilion with a bunch of people at 11 o'clock at night and they're still jamming out, it might be annoying to live there.
Well, it's not just those areas, but that river's right there, and it carries all the way to Hillcrest.
Oh,
Yeah, you'll get complaints from Hillcrest all the way down the river.
yeah, that'd be my only thing, but it's,
But is that a problem now?
was it ending at 10?
I was just saying, is that a problem now? Is there a noise problem now? Or,
No, because it is at 10. The park closes at 10.
so people don't start partying at 1?
At the park?
The only noise complaints we get is
I'm just,
It's what?
the community center.
From when there's stuff going on at the community center? We don't usually get the ones from the pavilion or the parties or the reunions?
No, I mean, a lot of those are during the day.
Yeah.
They're not all night. So
Well, the thing is, if you're creating an ordinance, basically you're creating a law. Okay. If you're creating a law, saying everybody has to be out of the park at 10 o'clock, and it's a matter of whether you choose to enforce it or not, we're gonna have juveniles down there at 11:30 coming out of the pool, you know, the movie night, team night. Technically, they're all in violation. So,
Well, and that's city property and the city event, and that's a seasonal. That's why I was saying seasonal. We're trying to enforce something to be 24/7, 365.
Well,
When the
then-
pool's only open 3 months out of the year.
no, I'm
And that, on that note, then we should make a seasonal ordinance. This time of year, this is hours, this time of year, this is hours.
and that's something else.
So that's not what out.
It's
It
just,
gets darker later.
Because it does get darker later, so you can't show the movies till after dark, which is fine. So, make the seasonal, but change this, I don't know if we can, since we got the noise, this way, but make the season feel like you're saying. During the winter hours, make it
Yeah.
10 and during the daytime, sure.
yeah,
Maybe that's a good idea.
Chief?
Same time with me. You know, when your pool opens up, you can have, that's when your seasonal starts, so to speak. And the pool
yeah, we can
closes
make it, you know, from, what is it, Memorial Day to Labor
That way
Day.
it's more of
Yeah.
Is that also?
After dark kind of
Is
thing.
that also going to get the time frame of the reunions and the community incident usage that's about the same time?
Get more used to it.
I think so, because school starts, was it right before?
Different every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
First
mean,
September area.
if your pool's open from Memorial Day to Labor Day, and say you're, I mean, most of the time school started right there at Labor Day or after, maybe a little before,
I think it's
but,
a good general,
time frame.
yeah.
You know,
Do you feel
uh,
okay with doing that? Does that
No, it's just,
interfere
I don't
with what
wanna,
you were thinking?
if you pass a law and you don't enforce it, then why have the law? Makes sense? I mean, yeah, it's a tool that we can use, but if you have people down there that are gonna be down there, you know they're gonna be down there, then, you know, you should be stopping everybody that's down there after 10 o'clock. But if you know that there's gonna be people down there, then why not adjust your timing or your law?
I like the seasonal one because,
Yeah, I
you
like
know,
it
the
too.
daylight hours
That's
are
what I
so
would
much
say.
longer and
It's
then you
seasonal,
can
so they
be
come
out more and
Yeah,
a lot more
it's
activity. You don't
more
have it in the kids stuff.
When the pool's full.
Yeah, I like that.
I like the seasonal one.
Yeah.
That way everybody, that way it covers all the concerns, I think.
Yeah, I think so. So we can adjust that.
Right. We can do that, Pat, or we can do that. Second. Or you can do that, or.
That's what we're meant to pay.
Yeah, that's it.
You want me to draft up an amendment for this and then bring it back to you next meeting? Is that what you want to do?
Well, we can do that, or they can approve it now, and
That's what I thought.
we just draft it and amend it.
I think that's work, right?
Well, the intent is there.
Yeah.
So, you
Yeah,
know, no use in beating a dead horse.
so we need to make a motion.
We'll make a motion to change the ordinance section 17.5-27B from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. to midnight during the seasonal time from,
Memorial Day to Labor Day.
thank you.
That motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. If we need to adjust that date or something like that, Pat, we look at it. Make sure we get it on both ends so we're not cutting something off. Everybody good with that?
Perfect.
Good. Oh, I need to say, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
There we go. All right. I was about to get in trouble. I knew it. All right, city council may consider, discuss, and authorize the sale of property located at 908 North 11th. Is it that house?
No, this is just a lot. This is actually a lot that has gone through the tax sale and nobody bid on it. We got a hold of it. We talked to Robin. She had 3 properties that she was struggling to get to sell. And then, so this is one that we put on the MLS. It's been through its 30 days on the MLS. We had one bid of $1,500 to Alfonso Ruiz. Alfonso is the pastor of the church on the Country Club Road, and I can't pronounce it, but it's the Apostolic Church. Yeah. And anyway, they would like very much to build a church, so this is property that they want to build a church upon. And they're looking keenly at across the street to your left of the picture there. Lois Smith has the old old mobile home park there. And, they're talking to her about purchasing the rest of that property as well. So, but
Oh, can I spend the neighborhood to have the church there?
it would be very nice.
Where is this?
Oh,
Where's the mobile home park on the left?
Yeah. If you go down,
Real old one.
it's 2 blocks.
I need to look better when I drive for you.
Yeah. 2 blocks away from the football field.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was trying to picture it, it didn't matter really.
Yeah.
Wasn't pertinent to the conversation, but I'm like, oh, right, this
Yeah, this was just it's actually a block and a half. Traditionally, we've been selling them for like $400 a lot. So, you
That's
know,
a good lot though.
And they're looking at buying across the street, was that for parking?
well, actually, they want to start here. They don't know if they can get voices. Since they talked to her, they don't have the money for that piece yet. That might be something later, but they want to go ahead and start with this because they have the money for this. So, anyway, now this will, I talked to Robin Burgess, she's going to take it to her, the county lawyers. And, they think they'll approve it, but we have to approve it first. So, this would be to approve the sale of this lot for $1,500 to.
Can we just get a percentage of proceeds?
We do, yeah. We only get a percentage because we have 4 entities involved. This isn't all of ours, unfortunately.
So we're making a decision to sell our part, and everybody else has to agree on it.
Yes. Yeah. And Judge Hilliard will have to sign off on that, and it'll be done.
Any other questions, concerns? All right, motion to sell the property located at 908 North 11th Street.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
All right, City Council may consider, discuss, and authorize action on the proposed charter amendments.
Do we want to do the
Move this to the front.
permits before we get into all the charter stuff?
I have no idea.
Do the
If
what?
I'm not hurt to move to the bottom, it's going to take a moment.
Yeah.
Is it?
it's gonna take
Okay, I have no problem with it. That's the first thing anybody asked me. All right, let's do that. We're gonna rescind that right quick. We're gonna jump down to agenda item 12 and go to consider approval of building permits.
11.
11, yeah. Mary.
Come on. Well, you said building permits, I'm not building permits.
I am very, somebody is saying.
Too many bosses. Just let you
Confused at all.
All right. We're going to come back to 11. The City Council may consider, discuss, and authorize accepting the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board to approve the variance request from Mary Dallas at 501 North Broadway for an indoor commercial kitchen located in R1 residential area. And Ms. Davis is here. She's on the front row. Is that you, Ms. Davis?
Dallas.
Dallas. I apologize. I do that often.
Been in this line.
Yep.
Yes.
Proceed.
What do you like, what you plan to do?
Yes.
So there's a building out back, yeah, you can see it.
This is the stucco home on Broadway. I don't know which one it is.
Really nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Used to be Dr. Tatum.
Back
Yes,
section,
not a kid,
year
yes.
nine.
That's your look in it.
Yes.
So the back building is technically off of 7th Street. So per your guys' approval, I'd like to give it its own separate address, like 7th Street or something like that. It's a completely separate building from the house. And for those of you who don't know, my husband and I recently moved from Austin, which is where I did have my commercial business, the Chocolate Chip Cottage. It was all online ordering, mostly like gifts for other people. People would like cookie boxes or the fresh fruit arrangements that look like flowers, chocolates, things like of that sort. So now that we're moving here, when I was in Austin, I worked out of a third-party kitchen. Other kitchens that like caterers use that don't necessarily need a retail location. So that's kind of, I want to set up my own just commercial kitchen that I can get health inspected, get my proper permits in line since I'm going to be dealing with fresh fruit and perishable items. I need to get the proper food enterprise permit, yada yada. So I'd like to set it up back there.
Will that be a retail location too, where people can come in and buy stuff, or you just ship it in?
Not right now. Right now it's just delivery only. You order online and then it's delivered to your door or wherever you ordered it for.
In your future plans, do you plan on making it a resale area?
I'm not sure. I've kind of toyed with that idea, but I'm not really sure how I would do it because I definitely have to make it. There's a lot more, safety precautions you have to take in if you're going to have people that you don't know walking onto the premises, and a lot more liabilities. So,
So how would you deliver to people of Ballinger want to order from you?
what do you mean?
Like if I order something, I have to ship them to get to go a half mile up the road?
I don't try to do free delivery.
Oh, free, you'll deliver, right? Okay. There's the
Somebody else will
answer.
pick it up and deliver it.
Perfect. Because I'm not looking for a box. So.
Cookies for tonight.
It's free delivery, and I was doing shipping when I was in Austin, but I was only shipping the cookies. So right now I'm just doing delivery. So I have my zone set out, and you go in and order. If you're outside of that zone, it won't let you do it. So I have my delivery area set up.
And there's over history been a lot of little businesses similar to this along that strip there. Telephone stands, welding shops, pottery shops. I don't know if anything's ever been at this one. Do you know? Has anyone told you yet?
So the gentleman that actually came and inspected our property when we moved into USA, his wife said his wife had used to live in a house like 30 years ago. And she said that there was a shop in the back right corner, and that's maybe been taken down since then. I'm not sure what exactly it was, but that's what he said.
He had a woodworking shop back there.
Yeah, I think it was something like
Yeah,
that.
woodworking shop.
Okay, so you said that you don't really have an address at that back building, or it's not addressed just because of where it's at?
Correct, it's not currently addressed. I would need to set up the separate address for approval to make it a commercial property.
You talked to the appraisal office about that yet?
Whoa, boy, what can of worms you're opening.
I got all the jokes.
The city give them a 911.
We can do that, Cam. I was thinking we could. I was about to ask you, so thank you. We should be able to do it with as much as knots there. We can pick a number in there. Okay.
That's been through
Well, that's recently all been fenced in.
Do what?
That's all been recently, that's all been fenced
Okay.
down outside. That's not right.
Oh, yes, off of 7th Street, it is currently fenced in, and we're gonna,
Yeah, because there was no fence there. It's fenced now with wooden fence from the corner all the way back.
And that has been to the planning and zoning commission?
Yeah. I contacted all the local landowners, property owners in the area, had no opposition. TNZ heard it, and they're fine with it.
No opposition from the neighbors.
Right.
That's the key.
Bottom off.
What was?
You've been taking a cookies ever since you moved
I was working with chocolate today, you probably just smelled it walked in.
Yeah, that's a good change from barbecue. That's usually not. Yes.
All right.
All right, so what do we do?
All right, any other questions for Ms. Stout?
No, I think it's a good idea.
It's great. So do this.
Absolutely, new businesses.
All right, motion to accept the recommendation of Planning and Zoning Board to approve the variance request from Mary Dallas at 501 North Broadway for an indoor commercial kitchen located in the R1 residential area.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Dallas.
Thank you.
You can get with the gentleman next to you sometime, and he'll get with you on the 911 address for the back on there on 7th Street, okay? Yes, ma'am, thank you. All right, consider approval of building permits, please.
Only one, John and Ann Haskell, at 902 North 10th, want to build a carport, a 15 by 26 by 9 with our 70 carport. I went up and looked at it, and they got everything right, where they want to put it. And, it'll be far enough away, all setback from it, so there shouldn't be any problems.
All good. Motion to accept building permit as presented, please.
Make a motion.
What'd you do?
Yeah.
Either one of us, we both.
First or second?
Whichever one.
I'll take second.
Rick
I got a
first,
second one.
Jason second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're gonna go back to 10. Is that okay? Can I go back to 10? City Council, may consider, discuss, and authorize action on proposed charter amendments. Oh, I know. I just didn't get a heads up on it. All right, Mr. Pat, are you doing the lead on this?
I'm just gonna kind of go through them. Y'all ask me any questions you want to do. I want to. This is what the yeah, the copy's not very good.
Sure. Let me start.
The committee met on the last week. I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was they unanimously approved this draft and they make this recommendation to y'all. We still have, after we go through it, we'll fine tune what we plan to do and talked about doing. Is whatever propositions the council wants to proceed forward on, is we'll take this and I'll then have like a explanation for each one, why we're doing it, and what we're seeking to accomplish, and have that for a public hearing / town hall meeting for the citizens to get, and then they can look at that and understand what we're trying to achieve. And so basically, this is kind of your first, this is a lot to digest, and I'll go through it. Like I said, if anybody has any questions, just stop me. I'm going to proceed forward if y'all want me to.
Okay, so just so I understand the process forward, we're going to go through it tonight, tweak any last things that we want, and then are we voting on tonight what we want to put on the ballot, or are we having town hall meeting and then deciding what's going to go on the
No,
ballot?
I didn't intend for this to be an action item. I mean, that's what we
Okay.
worded it, but I didn't expect you to take any formal action tonight.
Okay.
What I thought was we'd have it on this agenda and then have it at the next agenda for y'all to look at and kind of fine tune for the public hearing / town hall meeting. And so,
I believe it was presented to the council tonight.
yeah.
The next meeting, we would vote to move forward,
Yeah, that's what I was trying to
and
understand.
then we would have the,
But what if we have the town hall
Town
meeting
hall.
and, there's one item or two items that everybody just,
Yeah, no, that's when
can
you
we
change
still
it.
remove those off the ballot?
Yeah, no, for us to go forward, we'll have to call an election, and that election will have the propositions we're calling on. So that would be August.
Okay, that's what I was trying.
So we got a lot of time to, and I think that's exactly what we need to do, is listen to the input from the citizens
Yeah,
and staff. I know you sent me an email to that, and get a chance to call the gentleman,
it's from Robert.
but just to make sure that all issues are addressed as we get ready to put it on the ballot.
Great, thank you.
So plenty of time. This is just the first. This is, again, I will, from what we do today, and I can tell you right now, there's a couple of the proposition wording. We won't put all this verbiage actually on the ballot. It'll be the proposition will be on the ballot. So some of these will have to be, I'll have to massage the ballot language. But these are what the concepts are, and I've set out the sections that will be changed and affected by these propositions. So we'll start with, and I'll just go ahead and start with number 2. It's the big ballot proposition. If y'all have not discussed this in detail, but we want to go to a council manager form of government. And what that means is right now we have what I call a weak council manager form of government, or a hybrid form of government. Basically, as you know, right now, the city manager, you hire a city administrator / manager. That's one thing. In Proposition 1, I'd like to change it all to from city administrator to city manager. In our code of ordinances, we use the terms interchangeably. In our charter, they use the word city administrator, but I think we ought to go with city manager. That's more of the accepted term for a home rule city. General law cities, which don't have a city manager, call them city administrators. And so I think this will kind of, I guess, be the spirit of us going to a true council manager form of government.
Something more from verbiage changing.
Yeah, that part of it is. I mean, I think, again, we use it interchangeably throughout our terminology and
Correct.
ordinances.
Correct.
I always call city manager. That's just what I do. And also in Proposition 1, in your charter, the word, they call y'all commissioners. And I don't know why that is exactly. So we'll be changing all of that to city council members. There are, throughout the charter, there are some, they use the word city council members in some provisions. So we just have some conflicts there. But I just think, again, y'all are city councilmen, not county commissioners. So I just think it's to clarify, call y'all city council members. But the next proposition, number 2, is the big one. And that's the one going to true council manager form of government. And what that means in the broadest sense is that you'll hire a city manager. The city manager basically, as a general rule, will be the supervisor and responsible for all employees of the city, including hiring and firing, except for the city judge, the city attorney. That's basically the broadest concept of what a council manager form of government is. You hire a professional to handle the day-to-day operations, and y'all set the policies. And so that's what we're going to try to kind of do. And the details, as you go through them here, we'll go through this. So that's what 102, we clarify that's what we are, a council manager form of government. One of the key provisions that will be changed are 3.11, which is the powers of the city council. Again, we'll clarify that y'all will appoint and remove the city manager. You'll appoint and remove the city attorney and the city judge. You'll also have there on the next page 2 there, because we took out all the stuff where right now y'all approve every employee from, the maintenance man to the department head. We'll take all that out. And you will now confirm and approve city manager appointments for department heads and approve the removal of the police chief and fire chief in addition to that. So basically, you'll get the chance to approve all department heads, including the police chief and fire chief. And so then if there is a removal of the police chief or fire chief, then y'all get to approve that.
So I have a question in this topic and this is mostly in regards to, like, for instance, chief of police. Does this give the city manager authority to go fire, say, an officer without the chief's agreement?
That's later on, and no, it will be basically the city manager will get the discussion. We'll get to that provision.
Okay, I'm skipping ahead, just move forward, that's fine.
Yeah, that's.
I thought that was in the same line.
There's actually a provision under that just in a second. But that's the concept basically for, I think, the department head stuff, that's typical. And then we talked at length about whether any department head has to be approved by council to be terminated. And the committee decided we just want to stay with the police chief and fire chief as far as getting council approval specifically for those. You have to, for police chief and fire chief. Again, the concept is that y'all will deal with the city manager, who then is responsible for all departments and all employees, essentially. And
Essentially, he would have to bring his concerns to the council in order to fire.
department head.
No, chief.
Yes, yes,
He's the department head.
that's correct. If he's gonna fire the chief, he would basically come to y'all, we put an executive session, discuss the issue. If it's something the police chief wanted to talk to council about, and give him an opportunity, and then at the end of the day, council would have to approve it.
I think there may be some wording. Our actual police chief is not Brent. He's actually and he works for the city. The police chief actually works for he is voted on by the volunteer fire department.
I keep saying police, but you mean
Fire chief. Fire chief.
that's confusing.
Yeah, you
This is Robert Langston. He's with our volunteer fire department. He is something like that.
Chill.
Say it again, you said what, who's appointed?
Okay, the city of Ballinger has a fireman. He's not necessarily the fire chief, right?
He's the paid fireman.
He's only paid fireman.
He's a paid car,
Not
not
yet.
a driver.
He's a paid firefighter. The police chief is elected by the
Fire chief.
Fire chief is elected by the volunteer fire department.
You got confused, let Robert just say it.
Yeah.
Robert, tell Pat what you wanted to share, please.
I think you're copied on an email just with a question that I had, so I can try to have everything together. The words may not be exactly what they need to be, so they can be changed as needed if you all even think that it does.
I was just telling Pat, this is that a little further, but it kind of ties all together in our minds. That's what we're talking about right now.
Well, I just mentioned it because the wording there,
Yeah.
police chief, fire chief.
So our fire chief is actually elected on the volunteer side, and our paid firefighter can never be the fire chief. That's in our charter. Just wanted to kind of separate some things that y'all can kind of see that's in blue.
How have we done it in the past? I mean, our charter provision says now that upon the nomination of the city administrator, the city council appoints a fire marshal and or chief.
We've gone back to guys that have been in the department 35, 40 years, and they've always been elected.
That's contrary to our charter.
We just
Understand?
ignored that part.
Yeah. We didn't like that part.
We didn't like that part, so we just ignored it.
Which is why we're updating it
But
now.
it's right here.
That's why we had the issues we've had.
You can't follow it, then it needs to be
So,
updated.
this kind of just separates the paid. I did not change the word chief anywhere because it's on there quite a few times. But I would consider that the wording of the word chief possibly be changed
So we just marshal.
to, well, and then I've got something on that too. So maybe the paid firefighter or ranking officer of the fire department, something in that terminology.
So I'm not sure I understand. Are we saying the council or the city manager now, is where we're changing it, is going to appoint the head of the fire department? Or we're saying no, we're not?
No.
It seems strange to me, but.
But Brent works for him, right? Is that how that works?
Yeah, Brent worked for you.
The paid guy does work for him.
But
The fire chief, yeah. It's strange, right?
But the volunteer fire department,
We can bring 12, 15 paid firefighters in. We'd be happy to go down. He literally, he's extremely valuable to both ends of everything, to the city, to the volunteer side. What he does paperwork wise, phone call wise, just public service wise. He's there at the station, can get a truck to a scene. So the same protection that is there for the chief, we'd like to see for him as well. Because we're not writing this for today, we're writing this for
from now on.
Well, but what do you think about having the police chief in there?
Fire chief.
You're gonna have to change that because that's more of an elected office for them.
And I changed the verbiage in there where I thought that it took care of that. You may appoint, you don't have to appoint. Because if you're doing that, those are paid positions. So I think the reason that it's the way it was is because when we did have 4 firefighters, they were firefighter drivers. And then that helps you on the budget end of things as far as what you're paying those people. As far as, you know, if you want to pay for a chief, they'll probably be used to it. It helps the budget wise with people.
We just paid a firefighter going to city marshal. But they have taken care of, on their side as volunteers, they've elected themselves a chief. We haven't had anything to do with that.
But the marshal is not over the department.
No.
Well, I just think we need to change basically the whole provision. I mean, I guess that's the question, is what control does Tommy have over the volunteer fire department? Just what's in the budget.
Only the fire marshal.
Do we have a separate agreement with the volunteer fire department?
No, can we do an agreement with them?
No.
The city, if not, we'd look at it. See why we wouldn't. I mean, it's the Ballinger Fire Department, the Ballinger Volunteer Fire Department for 501.
But the Ballinger Fire Department is one employee.
One employee, one person.
What about budget? What does money go to? Just the
He's the-
Ballinger Fire Department, not
Right.
volunteer?
No, it doesn't.
Y'all don't give any money to volunteer?
No.
Mr. Parker, which is
No, they send them to school.
Yeah, they'll send us, we get grants for the actual school itself, but then the city does pay for us to do that training, so. An agreement is an option, I mean, it's. As long as we don't run into,
Well, this, I'm not saying anything deals here, but I have dealt with cities where, we had some issues with some of the volunteers, they were, not doing what needed to get done, and we didn't have any control of it. I mean, we didn't have any say over them at all.
Right.
That's, again, I'd rather have an agreement with, if they're a separate, independent agency, we need to contract with them. And so I would pretty much,
please don't pull a Hamilton and send us an Austin agreement.
and so, basically, I guess we could keep most of this in here for the volunteer fire department. Just one employee. So really, I think we'd take out the paid fire chief, or I guess we could keep it in there and say, currently right now, it's we have a volunteer department is handling the duties of the volunteer or underpaid fire chief, so you don't have a fire chief. So give you the ability, if it ever in the future you want to get just a fire chief to be appointed.
Right.
We have somebody that also we elect that does the marshal on the old requirements. We have somebody that is working, actually pretty much waiting on a signature from the state for the inspector, which is your paid
Inspector.
inspector. And I was gonna leave that to you, where it says, fire marshal. If you might just review that for legalities on the second page, I guess where it gets past C, where the fire marshal can, 9.02 C, and then where it continues from there. If he's gonna be condemning properties, writing tickets, or evaluating, if that doesn't need to change from fire marshal to fire inspector, per the state of Texas.
Is that what does your fire marshal do? What does your fire inspector do?
It goes in buildings and verifies their capacity, load capacity, their, the need or requirement for sprinklers, fire suppression system.
Any documents can be there.
Right. you know, if you're gonna have X amount of patrons, you know, the doors need to open a certain way and, no obstructions.
This charter basically is, we don't set out at all positions of the fire department or anything like that. This is just the charter basically kind of sets up your overall structure of your organization. And that's why we need to change this, because this does not reflect how we've been doing it, or maybe I guess the question is it doesn't reflect how you want to do it.
But yeah, both. Sounds like both.
Yes.
Because right now, I mean, basically, the city manager will not have, I guess, any control over the fire department other than the one employee. That's not, you know, that's really not much of a department. He's over all employees. So we have that covered under provisions. And so this is set up that basically he gets to appoint the fire chief, essentially. So really, that's not true.
Right. So from where you're saying we don't need it.
Where it says shall, you know, on there, I'd change it to may, because if you're gonna hire a fire marshal and the chief, then, you know, you don't necessarily have.
We don't have this, they use the word marshal in the old charter. I would.
Well, no, I'm talking about the word may
Yeah.
instead of shall.
I'd rather change it just to fire chief and then basically say we may appoint, I think we could probably put in there something like volunteer fire department. That's, you know, because that's, the concept is to make clear again what departments the city manager has control over. And really in this department, he does not have control over it. We'll be contracting for the services essentially other than our one employee. Is that accurate?
But yet, we have a lot of equipment sitting down there.
Yeah, that's why we need, you know, we need to have an agreement, basically. I mean, we insure that equipment, I assume, through TML.
Right.
And
I'm sure it makes, we have no issues that way.
Right.
This is, like I said, we're looking 30, 40 years down the road possibly. So.
Well, and that's what he's thinking, because he's had some instances in other cities where you have a volunteer fire department that's not doing what they need to be doing, and they're lax or whatnot, you know.
We can send you all a copy of our charter and our bylaws and guidelines and everything. We have no problem with that. I think just past history, everybody understands that we don't, we normally get rid of anything that's gone wrong pretty quick.
Well, yeah, but
Social media, everything.
in 10 years, when you're
Exactly.
in the tropics,
Yeah,
retired,
We don't have a Robert Langston anymore.
yeah, you know, because you never know what's down the road, so.
Yeah, I could be grabbing the chest.
Obviously, he needs to.
so Coleman has a volunteer fire department, but the only person they appoint is the fire chief.
If we had more than one, we'd probably be there too. You know, so.
And I think they might have one or two of them, 80 employees, that's it.
Well,
They appoint the fire chief.
that makes a difference.
And then I guess the only other concern was the, if we do go to, it says that they can appoint fire marshal and or chief may be held by any other person employed by the city in any capacity. You know, we kind of have a deal with the emergency management system and everything, which is kind of like, okay, well, this person, we'll just send them to go do this or anything, but there's actually no qualifications that they've done other than just, you know, took a 10-minute online deal or something.
Because that's what the charter said before.
Right. So, you know, a qualified person for whatever word you deem fit, whether it be marshal or whether it be inspector.
I don't think that provision really needs to stay in there, to be honest with you, the way it's set up now, so.
Well, how opposed would the volunteer fire department be if y'all had to change your provision, your bylaws, or?
We'd look at it. I mean, this is what all this is about right here.
Yeah.
You know, the main thing that I saw in here is just And again, not time or anything, 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road, there isn't a protection for that person, and you can't just go grab, hey, come be the firefighter now, you know?
So I thought the way our charter said, I thought we, the only employee we had was fire chief.
No, I understood, and that's why, I figured that was.
Well, and it would make more sense.
Well, I was gonna say, that's the way that it makes most sense in my head.
Yeah.
You would employ the chief, and then everybody worked under him.
Yeah.
It's the way it is. I'm not saying we need to change it.
Yeah, I don't know that the volunteer side would go to that, but he's the assistant chief on the volunteer side.
Yeah, but you gotta have a way to leverage your
I understand.
yeah.
But we just wanted to see, you know, the protection for that paid person on here as the fire chief. I mean,
But he's not the fire chief.
I understand, and that's why the wording is kind of changed on there. So, if we don't put fire chief, and we just put ranking officer or paid firefighter, you know, but if we
But
get,
you said you didn't know how that would go over with the volunteers. If we changed that wording to fire chief, you didn't know how they would feel
no,
about
two
that on the
different languages,
volunteers.
that's why I changed it from the word, I'm asking to change it from the word chief to either paid firefighter or ranking officer for the paid side of the department.
Wait, you're just trying to give him a whole other name.
I'm hearing you saying that.
It doesn't really have one, everybody thought he was the chief.
Well, exactly. So what if we leave it as is, as grandfathered, and the word of the charter to say chief is gonna be the paid guy from this point on after the grandfather dies out, you know what I mean? I don't know how to word that very intelligently,
But
but
they're gonna have to change their bylaws because,
that's something that we can talk about, right?
right?
You know what I'm saying, Pat? So the key word where we pay the chief,
Volunteers would feel for the switching of the names and.
it would fall into place after this
And
change.
I understand the dynamics of volunteer programs, and I'm not here to suggest that that's, if it's not broke, you know, probably don't need to fix it. I just, like I said, I didn't know. I just assumed I saw the gentleman.
So we were just looking to really cut it all short on that right there. We were just looking for protection for the paid firefighter to go before council if he was asked to leave. You know, if somebody after Tommy comes in 20, 30 years down the road, we don't want to pay down, we don't want to pay department or whatever. Whoa, let's talk about this for a second. So we were just looking for the same protection, but our problem with the verbiage was that since he wasn't the chief, it didn't cover him. So that's really where that comes from.
This is gonna be a way more complex little scenario.
We move on
Yeah,
and
we
look at this at a later date. Yeah.
I think we need to have Pat be able to sit down.
But I will get you the chart and bottle and everything.
Well,
Thanks, Robert.
Figure that one out. Pat.
Thanks, sir.
Sleep on that.
That's the key changes. I also had we established administrative departments, and the reason that would again kind of be your role, and the reason I added that specifically is if you'll see later on when we talk about the duties of the city manager and the city council, this issue usually comes up about what's our role. But for example, if Tommy wanted to add say he wanted a development services department, code / reorganize the city, and want to add a new department, he would come to y'all and say, I want to do this, and y'all would approve that administrative department. So that's why I put it in there. The last power I added for city council, that you shall be the judge of the election and qualification of your members, and you'll also, for that purpose, have the power to subpoena witnesses and require the production of records. On page 3. That basically is a typical home rule provision where the council basically can be administrative body for itself. The next two provisions are, again, a key part of the council manager form of government. Council not to interfere in appointments or removals. Basically provides that members of council shall not in any way dictate the appointment or removal of the city administrative officers and employees who the city manager or his subordinates are empowered to appoint under this charter. Again, the concept will be you'll deal with the city manager. If he makes a bad hire, you tell him, not like it. But at the end of the day, you don't micromanage and change his. It doesn't mean if you knew something about the gentleman or woman that he was hiring, you could go in executive session and discuss. We kind of want to know something about them. Doesn't prevent you from doing that. But again, the concept is that it's not your employee, the city manager, the city attorney, or the city judge. It's his employee, and you delegate to him the responsibility to hire and fire and manage those employees. The second provision, again, council not to direct officers and employees. Again, this is, if you think about it, it's not, I've had city managers say, yeah, this means you can't talk to city employees, and that's, Tommy's not going to use it like that. But we want, ultimately, this keeps, Christy comes out on site and said we've had a tornado, and she's out there telling these 3 employees to do this, and Tommy's telling the same employees not to do that. She doesn't have a role in directing the employees. Council doesn't direct the employees, the city manager does. They direct the city manager, but again, as a board, as a council as a whole. So that's the concept. Then under 701 there, the city manager, the key change I added in here, and I want y'all to think about this. We have in our current charter, city manager shall be appointed for an indefinite term. And what that basically means is that you can't, with that language, it calls into question your ability to have a contract with the city manager. Now, Tommy doesn't have one now, but he may want one in the future. If you have previous subsequent city managers to him, certainly if they're coming from outside, they probably will want a contract. That's typical. So I put in there, or a term defined by the city council. Now, you may have had one before with that language. I'm just telling you, probably, it flies in the face of the charter provision. If you say an indefinite term only, it typically means you can't have an agreement. So anyway, something to be thinking about. If you want me to keep that in there, I can, or I can remove it if you want me to. It's mainly just to give you your ability to do contracts if you decide to do so.
Discuss that, I mean, right
I
now.
think it gives you the best options, doesn't have both options. He doesn't care, maybe next guy wants one. Let's just do it either way.
Keeps options open.
Yeah.
Again, the key changes about city manager's duties here under C1 are that he shall appoint, suspend, discipline, and remove all city employees and appointed administrative officers, except as provided in this charter, by personnel rules adopted by the council or as otherwise provided by law. And so, for example, y'all could have, and you do have, a grievance procedure in your personnel manuals. So that would always, if somebody filed a grievance about their firing by the city manager, y'all would then have a role in deciding that. So, but ultimately, that sentence there, I think, kind of sums it up. City manager basically will handle everybody unless they're except as provided in the charter for you to handle it. Section 702, the way the charter read before, it just had the last paragraph, paragraph C. They're hereby created the following administrative departments: finance, fire, health, law, parks and rec, planning and zoning, police and public utilities. Other departments may be established by ordinance. I felt like that we probably want to have a little more flexibility, and so put out in the paragraph A there, council may, after hearing recommendations, city manager establish, abolish, redesignate, or combine departments, offices, or agencies, and in addition to those provided for here in the charter. And also in paragraph B that, again, those will be under the direct supervision of the city manager. and those employees will be appointed by and subject to his direction as the city manager. One of the concepts we had in the last sentence there that I left in, this concept, again, I think we've kind of outgrown it, but there's occasions where the city manager may serve in dual capacities. We say in many places the city manager may, with consent of the city council, serve as head of one or more departments, offices, or agencies, or appoint one person as head of two or more of them. And that part makes sense. And sometimes the city manager might make sense to serve in dual capacity, but not often. So I left that concept in there. City treasurer, basically, I've changed it instead of the city council. It's the city manager shall appoint the city treasurer. Also, the city manager shall appoint the city tax assessor and collector, or the council may contract for such services. That's what we do now. That's I provided that change about the contract for such services. Then in the fire department, this is when we get into the what he marked up a while ago, and I'm not going to spend any time on that. But basically, the gist of it was underneath the city manager. Who would have the control over the department, including the hiring of the fire chief. All right, then 12.01, Parks and Rec superintendent employees. Same thing. City manager is now the boss over the department. So that's really the only change. And then Department of Police. And here it gets to your, it starts on page 6 there. Again, the chief of police is chief administrative officer in the police department. He's appointed by the city manager for an indefinite term. And the appointment or removal of police chief shall be subject to confirmation approval of the city council. Then under the next paragraph, the city manager shall appoint other officers as may be considered necessary, and the police chief, the process here, shall nominate to the city manager such persons as he may consider suitable for policemen. But the city manager shall have the right and power to reject any nomination, require other nominations to be made by the chief of police. So that kind of carries on the same concept y'all had before from the council side of it. Ultimately, it's the city manager's decision, but based upon the nomination of the chief of police.
That goes back into, earlier I asked you a question about could the city manager step in and fire a policeman? Does that say?
So now, that's the next paragraph. Chief of police shall have right to remove any policemen, clerks, and employees with the consent of the city manager. So he has the overall ultimate say, but the police chief basically, they kind of reverse the roles of the city manager and city council before. Now the city Managers Act kind of has the council before. So still it leaves the police chief the responsibility, because he's working with them. Hey, I want to remove them. Comes to him, I want to remove them.
Well, what about the city manager coming in and saying,
No.
to the fire oil? I want you to chief the fire oil.
The
way I was reading it, that's the way it's coming to me, is that he has, the city manager can come in and fire my animal control because she gave her a ticket. She gave a ticket for no tag.
Well,
I'm not saying.
No, but think about it. Okay, you have policemen, you have people that work in the street department, people that work in water. Okay, you have a water superintendent. I don't know if the guy's showing up every day on time. As a city manager, that's my water superintendent's job, right? Now, I govern, as city manager, will tend to the day-to-day activities more or less of the water supervisor. But, I don't go to a water supervisor and tell him I don't like what he's doing, fire him. You gotta have a grievance process.
Well, I see what you're saying, but in the Stan's point, what Stan's saying is say, you just speeding ticket and it pisses you off, and the next day that officer is gone. we want to keep that from happening. Don't want him to come and just fire an officer because he's mad at the guy.
It
He needs to go to stand. But
Everything goes downhill.
Right.
He does that. The police officer would have a right to file grievance, and then y'all would be able to call him in and say,
is this really
is this what you're doing? And you're probably going to remove him from it.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But
that's,
Well, maybe that wasn't the best example then.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing if you have if I go in and just fire the water department or the street.
Yeah.
You're still gonna have the same situation.
Yeah.
Yes and no, but the law enforcement personnel has a whole lot more training, it's gonna be a whole lot more difficult to report.
Well, that's what I'm just saying. That's
It's irrelevant. No, it is. It's irrelevant.
As far as training, you got a street department versus a law enforcement guy, there's no comparison.
Well, our guys got a lot of
Okay,
training.
water plant.
The thing is, it's irrelevant. You have the same setup. You still have a grievance process. It doesn't matter if they're professors at the university, if they're working for the city of Ballinger, right? They're still an employee. It doesn't matter. There's still a process, and it falls within the same
No,
process.
I see what you're saying. I guess it just doesn't word it right to me where you can't just go fire Officer Joe Blow just because you want to. I mean, I'm not saying you would or you personally, but
I know what you're
this is a
saying.
city manager position.
But currently, what
You should go to Stan and say, Stan, this guy's acting up.
Right.
That's what it said.
But
Is that what it said? That's where I put my,
Really,
small brain part in.
ordinarily, in all departments except for the police, he can walk in there and fire the whole department. Now, under this provision, it says, chief of police shall have the right to remove any policeman, clerks, and employees with the consent of the city manager. So it doesn't give the city manager the
Okay.
initial power.
In the legal terms, it's saying what we're all saying. It's just, okay. That's all I was making clear
There's
about.
gonna have to be some proof to the pudding here somewhere.
Yeah.
The thing
If somebody
is,
falls and
Well, it's the
cuts.
same thing him. He's got to, what if it was, say, what if he was sexually harassing a female officer? And he wants to fire her because she had cooperated. And he's going to be the protector of her. He's the one who's, oh, wait a second, tell me what's going on here. And so he would say, I'm not going to accept this termination. I want to look into
Right.
this.
You heard both
So,
sides.
yeah, I mean, so it goes both ways. I mean, there's checks and balances.
That's all I wanted to make sure was that was in there, because I wasn't seeing it in my own eyes.
You wanna make sure the checks and balances.
Yeah, and this is, it wasn't the dog on anybody, I just didn't understand.
Ultimately, y'all are the checks and balances on his power. And that's the simple concept throughout it, is when you have a council manager form of government, that's the way it is. You hire, that it keeps you from having to basically run the day-to-day operations of these departments. Y'all are volunteers on council. First of all, for y'all to make a decision employment-wise, you have to call a meeting. You gotta have, then you have to have a public, investigation, so to speak. And so and that's very inefficient, as y'all well know. At the end of the day, that's why you hire a professional to run your city, is you give him your ideas and expectations with how the departments shall run. Obviously, if he walks in and fired all the officers in the department, it won't run. It will be shut down, whereupon you're going to come to him, and you're probably going to, unless there's absolute reason to do it, you're going to be asking. We want to know why the reason was, because this would have to be a pretty crazy situation where that ever happened. And again, that's the accountability. Maybe this is a new way. What I heard, y'all basically kind of been put, since I've been here, the way the charter's written, in a kind of an awkward, odd. If you follow the charter exactly, we would basically be having a lot longer council meetings and a lot longer processes for hiring every employee. I mean, y'all would need to look at every resume, and if you're going to make meaningful decisions, that's what you'd have to do. That makes no sense. I mean, y'all outgrown that. Those are general law type scenarios. So that's. I mean, I don't think you should be afraid, unless you're afraid of your city manager, and that's why whatever you hire your city manager, you have to have an open dialogue with what your expectations are. And so, but anyway, that provision specifically is an exception to the general rule that he can fire anybody in that department. because it says here that the police chief has to remove them with his consent. It doesn't get the autonomy to come in and remove them, and it's his consent.
I guess, that's what I want to clarify. And that was just, like I said, the wording probably just wasn't perfect for me, but if it's legal wording and it works, let's do it.
Yeah, legal wording.
Some of it I'm trying to use the existing terminology, and that's how it's set up before with the council. So some of it, if I could, I'd rewrite the whole thing. And, the problem is that we have too much citizens. So I'm trying to keep it, the provisions is set up what they're set up, but achieve what we want.
That's what I think that, I needed to clarify that myself. Yeah, I didn't get that either.
Right, that's right.
All right, and then 1401, same thing. He has the responsibility for hiring superintendents, managers, and employees. Proposition 3, this is a legal issue. The way our charter was set up before, when it talks about if somebody gets, say, has a slip and fall at the city park, the way your charter read before is that they have to make a claim within 30 days of that incident. And case law has said that is not legal. It's too short a time period. And so they've upheld 180 days, so I changed it to 180 days. So that's basic. The main change there is that.
Question, so, no, sorry, keep interrupting. Should we put that 100 days? I mean, that exact time frame, because the state law may change again, and our charges will be wrong again. Could you just say?
It's not state law, it's those are case law decisions, but I don't think that's going to change.
Okay, I mean,
And that's the reason for that is that cities have the ability as a homeowner municipality to set reasonable rules like that, and they can help you. Ordinarily, if you have a slip and fall, you have 2 years to file a claim. If they wait, 2 years, 1 year and 364 days, you may have key employees that were witnesses gone. And so this makes people, when you're dealing with a government entity, come in and file your claim sooner rather than later. That way it gives you a better ability to defend yourself. So you want to take advantage of those types of statute of limitations. So, and again, if it's ever struck down, then we'll just operate from what the law is anyway.
okay, sorry. Just lots of questions.
No problem, no. The next proposition 4 is a legal issue as well. And again, this is our what I call the banana peel. This is for premises liability or premises defects. And this one basically says that if there is a defect where a damage is caused from that defect, then we won't be liable for it unless we had at least 24 hours notice of the defect. So I didn't change much of that provision, and I may end up taking some of these get kind of detailed, but I wanted to make clear that it included death. Currently it says personal injury, and usually you say personal injury or death, as ours didn't. So personal injury probably covers it anyway. So that's somebody that I may end up calling out as being maybe too technical. We'll live with what it said before in the spirit of having as few propositions as possible. And this may be one of the ones, because really all I changed, we didn't change the 24 hours. I just changed the nomenclature of city manager, which again, we've done that in the first provision, and I added death. And so that one may be one we take out. So proposition 5, here's a big one, put asterisk. Basically, the committee wanted to look at changing the terms from 2-year terms to 4-year terms. We discussed 3 years, but we decided to go ahead and seek 4 years, mainly for the reasons that I think y'all have heard and discussed before, which is about the time you run for election, you spend all the money to get the position and time and effort and stress, you get on, your first year, you're just figuring out the lay of the land. The second year comes around, you get ready for your election the next year. And so this will allow you to basically mature on the job, and ultimately you're accountable to the voters one way or the other. But at the end of the day, this is what we have in Brownwood.
So Pat, if this were on the ballot in November and passed, would this in any way affect Christie and I, since we have another year?
I need to look and see exactly how that will play out. We might even have language like that of when it will go into effect.
Okay.
Because it will be a little
So then put that there is like our success, say we both want, will we initially start that 4 years, or will that be?
Yeah, everybody start.
It depends on how this is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this passed and it affects everything.
If it passes though, that becomes the new law of the land.
Right. I like the 4 years.
So
Like I
then,
said, I'm halfway lost most
if
of
it's
it.
the new law of the land, and then everybody gets 4 years versus 2 years, so y'all would automatically get,
Yeah, 3 more years.
yeah, and then y'all would get your 4 years.
That makes sense. They pick up 2 extra.
Right.
Go in
Well,
4.
that's what happened when we voted to go from May to November. It automatically gave us 6 months
Yeah.
in that period.
That's how I would think it would. Basically, it would affect you, Bob. It would extend
So you'd automatically go to that.
2 more years.
Like a free win, Bob.
I know Sam wants to.
All right, this also says here that it's at large for everybody. I thought you had told me that we couldn't go at large for everybody.
You have to go at large, don't you?
Well, this is the language right now.
That's it.
So the language
I
right
didn't
now, right now it
change
says at large.
I
know you brought the-
I did not change it
Okay.
the way we have to operate it.
Okay.
under
I was asking.
So what are we going with, a larger by district? Yeah.
If we're gonna go at large for everybody, or we're gonna go?
Well, that was something that he said he had to look at as far as how it was
Well,
running.
we can change it to the by district or by ward. Right now, it doesn't say much about that. So, some of that, we can't change anything in our charter. We can't change anything from what was done in that lawsuit.
Okay.
Because until we would have to have court approval to change it, so, which is hard to get, as you can imagine. Those federal lawsuits like that, it's just a difficult change. But someday, that's what I'd like to have. But I might want to go ahead and put in the by-district change there.
What is, I missed something, what's the by district check? I'm
By
lost.
a single member.
Right now.
So now you're running for 4, right?
Right.
By a single member.
At large means like
Whole
these
city.
positions are not winners.
Sam at large.
Okay.
The mayor's large.
Each
Okay.
district is that.
I didn't know that we'd ever talked about that in meetings.
The old charter says that at large.
He just called me one time. And
I brought it up because it said it here as at large, so I thought we were being able to change it, and then we weren't.
That running counter to the at large is the lawsuit by LULAC or whatever.
LULAC.
Yes.
So you'd have to fight that battle again.
Again, correct. And so, right now, the way it is, Christie, is everybody's by district except for the mayor position is at large.
Okay. You're saying by district, you're talking
By ward.
B-Y,
Yeah.
not B-I. I'm
Yes.
thinking 2 districts.
Oh,
We've got
no,
4
gotcha.
places.
Four
Yeah.
single member districts.
All right.
Or one to stick with the district, or we want to stick with the at large.
Well, we might
Our people are like guns.
but we can't because of the laws.
Okay. So we have to just reword that to match
Yeah.
what the law came to. Okay. That's what I was asking at that point.
Okay.
You know, if I need to change my signs. I got November election coming up.
Tell me about it.
All right, Proposition 6 is another one that's kind of a far-reaching provision that talks about your qualifications and your filling vacancies. And that's basically, if you'll see there, I deleted right now the way it reads now, 3.02. It just says that if a member of council should cease to possess any of those qualifications, he shall immediately forfeit his office. And so I then basically deleted that and moved it to the vacancies, forfeiture, and filling the vacancies provision. And so you see my changes there, and basically state out when there is a vacancy, or how there can be a vacancy, death, resignation, incapacity, forfeiture, removal. And then the second one, this is one you want to think about. We did not have this before, but if you missed 3 consecutive regular meetings without explanation, you could potentially lose your position. I would never do that likely, but there are reasons for doing it. So again, you don't have to do it. It's purely up to y'all.
Well, I think there's a recent case in Abilene.
I was supposed to say that Hamlin could have done it, they had that.
You had a,
They had the protest, and just wouldn't go.
yeah,
One
councilman,
meeting, right?
Yeah.
Got elected, so.
yeah, and then you won't show up anymore, but they're hamstrung. You
It was
know,
crazy, it was a big old fight, I can't believe you didn't see it, it's all over the place, it's like.
On the Facebook,
Sorry,
YouTube.
but he wouldn't have a protest show up to the meeting, so it hamstrung the current council, in some ways.
Yeah, sure did.
Well, it's something to think about, and if you want to add it in, we can keep it in there. The last one is kind of the key one, and it'll tie in with our change at the end of our charter dealing with interest and contracts. And basically, now, any person on the council who doesn't have the qualifications up in 3.02, or is convicted of a felony, or a misdemeanor involving moral turpitude, or is convicted of violating any state laws regulating conflicts of interest, then they shall forfeit their office, and y'all will handle that. And
What is moral turpitude?
it's theft, drugs, basically crimes with evil intent, so to speak.
How far do we go back from that?
In general, whenever your new term kicks
I'm
in,
just kidding.
you've got a new lease on life. So
Some reason divorce is.
but basically, this is kind of cleaning up. It also says that before you ever do this, you'll have a public hearing, due process for the council person to plead his case and make your decision based upon it. That's something we didn't have anything in our charter like that. Proposition 7, again, the only change really in this is the filling of vacancies. I kept the concept, we have a single vacancy in the council, and remember, this is a tricky part here will be the 4-year. If you go to a 4-year term, we'll never be able to appoint any more council. So if you have a 4-year term, we have that. If we're successful in getting that, if you have a council person who moves out of the city or resigns or any reason, you can't just appoint somebody to fulfill their term. You'll have to call a special election at the next uniform election day. That's the way it is. It's no big deal. It's just something I want you to know. And of course, we'd have to change this provision. I'm trying to think right now, we could, and I probably will consider moving that up with that 4-year term, not filling the vacancies, because we don't want one to be passed and the other one not to. So some of this is tricky. Like I said, it's like putting together a jigsaw puzzle and making sure people can vote on the concepts. But the bottom line is, what I changed there was, a lot of our old charter says, for example, if we have 2 vacancies, it says y'all got to call a special election meeting within 30 days. Well, that's not how the law works anymore. And so if you have 2 vacancies, and it occurred, say your second vacancy occurred April 15th, you don't have time to have it on the next uniform election date, which is the first weekend in May. So you'd have to wait till November to have your election. It's just the way the new law is. You only have elections on uniform election days.
So if 2 of them were out, and you couldn't have council meetings until November?
Still a quorum,
It's still a quorum.
We're still
You got 4.
going.
Are you 3?
3 is the minimum.
But it gets tight.
Somebody's missing too.
They'll have a meeting.
But this doesn't allow.
State law.
The Constitution says you can't. No more appointees. So anyway, so that one may change. We need to figure out how we tie that in. And I may just leave it in the way it exists today and go with 4-year, and then we can change it later on. So the law basically will govern these provisions, regardless of what our charter says. Proposition 8, clarify the position of city secretary employed by the city manager.
Work on rescheduling the training. So that's basically the concept. City secretary shall basically work for and be appointed by the city manager.
Proposition 9. Basically, this is again one of those things where it says that after we have an election, we'd say on the second Tuesday in April, council shall meet and canvass the votes. And obviously that's not the case anymore. So for the sentence practical, like for each council election, basically we'll swear you in. So that's just a change based upon our outdated charter. Proposition 10, and this is another key provision here. So we'll put a little asterisk by that. And this is something we talked about on the committee, and I've had this happen before. Basically, the way our charter reads now is that we'll have to always have the affirmative vote of 3 members of council to pass something. And of course, when we talk about if you ever have vacancies, it gets pretty tough. And so what I've changed it to is a majority of the council qualified to act. So that will allow you to do certain things without having to have a 100% majority. It can get pretty hard. So anyway, it's something to think about. I think gives you more flexibility. Y'all are with y'all having 5 voting members, y'all are right for having a vacancy or 2, and of course if we can appoint them, we don't go the 4-year, you'll stay out of that issue. If you get into a situation where you're having to have a special election, it can get pretty tricky. We approved our $10 million law enforcement center with a 2-0 vote. One councilman had a conflict, and so he didn't vote, and the other 2 voted. So if we had a provision the way yours reads, he wasn't going to vote on it. He said, I've got a conflict, I can't do it. So I guess we'd have to wait a few months until we get another councilman in there. So anyway, it's just something to think about. Proposition 11, clarifying the process to adopt ordinances. A lot of our ordinances, it says in here that you'll publish the full ordinance in the newspaper. It's what ours says now, which that's very expensive. I've never. That's yeah. It's always several $100 just to do the caption. So I changed it. I took out the 14 days that we had to do within 14 days. Although we will do it most of the time in 14 days. I guess sometimes with the way the newspaper has weekly, I just figured, at the end of the day, we have to publish a newspaper for it to be effective. And so why have a deadline? What if you got it in on the 15th day? I mean, you start over again? I don't know. But bottom line is that state law says you have to publish it twice in the official newspaper of the city of Ballinger. And you can do the caption. That's what it changed to do. So it matches state law. Proposition 12, again, this is the power of city council, and that's what we had talked about before, the judges' qualifications of the members. Proposition 13, and this is nominations and filing for office. And basically, I just shortened it. I don't know basically, I didn't know if Benita used the little application that was in our charter, but state law changed so much on applications. I basically just said adopt the application form the Secretary of State puts out each year. So that way, it makes it. Right now, if we use this application process we're doing now, we'd have to do a supplemental one because you have to put on there language about nepotism. So I doubt we're doing that now. So we're probably not in compliance with the law. So I just said, let's just do the ordinance, the form that will be promulgated each year by the Secretary. I also deleted, and I don't know if it's something you've done, but basically delete, and that's Proposition 14. Basically, we have a method where citizens could nominate somebody to be on the council, and then he'd have to say, "Oh, I guess I accept that. I didn't think about running. Didn't really want to run, but y'all have nominated me, and I can't imagine anybody doing that."
It happens to Bob all the time.
You know, but it just, you know, if you want to run, you pretty much need to file your application, because it's a pretty important job, and it's pretty, you got to be pretty serious about it. So I deleted that alternate form. I just don't think it will ever happen again. And it seems kind of strange. Proposition 15. I think this one was the, I just took out, we talked about doing things in 1963, so I took out that, you know, the mayor commissioners talked about what you were in 1963. Obviously, we don't need that now. And then basically change the language from April to November, like we have now. So that's mainly, that did true up with what we're doing now from the lawsuit. And then it basically pointed out that everything will be in accordance with requirements of Texas election code instead of having dates in some of the spots. So basically our elections will be in accordance with dates as authorized by the Texas election code. Proposition 16, this is the canvassing returns. We had in there, you had to do it not more than 5 days after the election. I doubt we've ever complied with that. Or if we have, it's probably rare. So we just have to follow, again, requirements of the Texas election code as to canvassing votes. Proposition 17, recall. The main change, again, is to say that the recall election would be held on a uniform election date in accordance with the Texas election code, and yours said now that you'll call it within 30 days, no more than 60 if the petition is presented, and of course that is not correct anymore. You can only hold recall elections on the uniform election dates. So change that. Proposition 18, same thing for the initiative and referendum. Again, you have to have it on the uniform election date. If you should ever have a initiative and referendum, you all know what that is? Initiative is if the citizens wanted, let's say they wanted to present to y'all an ordinance banning smoking in Ballinger in all public places. You could have citizens come in, if they've got the number of signatures required, they present it to you, and Benita will verify the signatures, it meets the number requirement. Then y'all have to call you either have to pass the ordinance, or if you say, look, we're not going to pass it, then we have to call an election on it. And so that's referendum is the opposite of that, is if we pass an ordinance, they could say, we want y'all to remove that, our referendum. If we refuse to do it, then we have to call election. So, and again, those elections have to be held on a uniform election day. Proposition 19, this is the one that is kind of, again, seems strange to me. It provided under county supervision control that the city shall publish a financial report in the newspaper annually in its entirety. I doubt you've ever done that. If you have, I mean, we already have to publish a number of things for our budget and our tax rate every year, but I doubt we've ever done it. So, considering the cost the newspaper probably loves us if we follow all these things. It probably costs us $2,000 or $3,000 a pop to do this, if not more. So anyway, I deleted it. So
It did help bring this charter back.
yeah, my name.
When I was ready to start.
Yeah.
And Proposition 20, basically, all purchases just changed it. This is the one that says that essentially every expenditure over $1,000, we have to seek competitive bids under the law. Obviously, that is not. We can change this provision without having a charter election on this issue. We can do it by ordinance. So we may want to take this one out and the reason I put it in here is even if it didn't pass, at least it'll be in the printed charter so people can see it. So I'd say do it, and if it doesn't pass, we can change it. So basically, state law allows us to change a lot of these older charters. In fact, I was talking to the city manager once that said that it said in their charter at one time you couldn't pay the city manager more than $500 a month when he first got hired in a small city. A lot of cities in Gorman, Gorman's a home rule city. I mean, it's got less than 800 people in it now, but it once was over 5,000 in the oil days. And so what then was another adjoining city that had a charter provision that said you can't pay city manager more than $500. So a lot of those provisions all have.
We're gonna put it in.
Well, that's what I did. I thought we Tommy wanted that one.
We're good at that one.
He's gonna be a volunteer.
No more than 500,000.
Yeah. All right, Proposition 21, we deleted the Board of Equalization, so we don't have that anymore. Proposition 22 is this is another kind of strange provision. Copy of the budget has to be, once we adopt it, shall be filed with the city secretary, the county clerk of Reynolds County, and the state comptroller of public accounts in Austin. I think filing with the city secretary is fine. And same for amending the budget. If we amend it, we got to file it, city secretary, county clerk, and the state comptroller. The comptroller, I promise you, if they get a copy of our budget, is going to throw it in the trash. They don't. I mean, they don't have any control over our budget, nor do they care.
They'll laugh.
Yeah, well, they'll say, "What did we get this for?" So,
1963, about
it could have been different. Not that way anymore. We deleted under Proposition 23, Department of Health. Proposition 24. This is again, I've changed the, both of these required us, anytime we do a franchise agreement. And franchise agreements, we don't do them as much as we used to because the law is changing where you have statewide franchises. For example, how long a cable company here? In Ballinger? You don't have a cable company anymore, do you?
Television?
Yeah. Well, you did?
Yeah, 5.
Well, they probably, when they're very new.
There's a changed name a few times.
Well, now cable TV has statewide franchises. You don't do grants with them anymore. And so, and you still do them with Encore or Atmos. And so this requires you, if you do a franchise agreement, is we had to print the full text of the whole agreement in the newspaper. So, very, very expensive.
Does it have to be a public posting because we've used our website before or our Facebook?
This one said, shall be published once each week in the official newspaper of the city of Ballinger. So, I mean, I don't know how much it would cost. This provision alone would be 5 or 10 grand.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the agreements are 5 or 6 pages long. I mean, if you have to publish 5 or 6 pages.
Well, that's state law, like, going on your questions, that's state law, it has to go in the newspaper, or we just put it on our city website.
Usually,
satisfied.
these, if we could, that maybe I'll look at that.
Because that would be free.
In the past, there's times that we had to post it, and it said a public posting, so we utilized our website and our social media sites.
Let me look and see.
And when I questioned it, I was told to
I don't know of any state law. This is purely a creature of home law.
Okay.
So if you want to change it to,
I think that's fair.
to our website, That'll save you a lot of money right there too.
Well, obviously, you haven't done it.
Easy, I mean, it's done, just to leave it up. There's one question, only one.
Yeah, it's posted.
And then the Proposition 25, it was a change in, or basically our charter provision essentially says that all records of the city are open and subject to reasonable regulations established by the city manager. And I put subject to the provisions of the Texas Public Information Act. And that's because that's essentially the law.
Yep.
And so added that subject to provision of Texas Public.
Get that email there.
Proposition 26, this is the one that our old charter provision talked about the no officer employee of the city shall have financial interest, direct or indirect. And this one basically changes it to, in the old days, and I had an issue with this, I told y'all about it before, but the old days, the way that the conflict of interest provisions have evolved is back when this charter was done in '63, there was no statute governing conflicts of interest in Texas. It was a common law rule. And what y'all have in here is pretty much what the common law rule was at that time. When they came up with the conflict of interest statute in the 80s, then these more modern charters now have gone to this, which is basically a councilman, if they have a conflict of interest, they have to tell you. They abstain from discussion or voting on the matter, and then y'all will make your decision based upon the available affidavit that he files. And ultimately, it's open disclosure to the public of what's going on. So that's a more modern charter provision dealing with conflicts of interest. And so that would allow you to, for example, if you ever had to buy a piece of property from the city council, they would file an affidavit, say, I own this property. I can get up and leave the room, and y'all then decide whether you want to buy it, if you need to buy that piece of property. So it gives you more flexibility, allows you to disclose it. Now, under state law, there's, in addition to the conflicts of interest provisions, there's Chapter 176 of disclosures. So there's plenty of transparency on any transaction between the city and the state council. That's what this one would fall there. And the last proposition is that I don't think we use the word her or she anywhere in the charter. And so probably want to look at making some more gender neutral type, so we don't get accused of being anti-female.
So Pat, Sam, when he took the swimming pool up with it and paid $11,500 a year, he wasn't obviously aware of this. This part that you deleted down here. And the part that was submitted to TML for a legal opinion, they did not tell TML about this because it was a violation of our ordinance. Sam took that, submitted that contract. But doesn't that, and the Texas city administrator always used the word, the optics aren't good. You know? The phrase, the optics. But that opens the door to more of that, doesn't it? And I'm not casting dispersion on Sam, I'm just asking a question.
Well, remember, what Sam did was the city attorney, who was aware of this provision, and said, right here, I watched the video, said,
No. I asked him on the street if he was aware of this. He said he had no idea. He said, he told me in front of the post office, if he, evidently you and I are.
It's his job to be aware of it.
Okay.
he was sitting right here, and he listened to the presentation. I don't know.
Pat, he told me in front of the post office in the middle of the street, if he was aware of this provision, he would have said no.
Well,
answer without
Now,
consulting the charter.
but you have to be a little forgiving here, you know, with that, you know.
well, I know. I'm just saying, I called him and asked him.
I wrote it.
I called him and asked him. because I watched the video, and he was sitting right there when they explained, I mean.
I'm not challenging you.
No, I'm
just telling you what
yeah.
he told
No,
me.
I know it, no, he told me he didn't remember the,
Okay.
which is probably, I said, I don't know how to explain it, to be honest with you, Bob, because I can read, and the first thing I would have done, if I was a city attorney, is pull that provision up and went, ooh, don't think that can happen. I mean, that would have been simple, because that was what the discussion,
But,
right in front of us.
okay, but my question, my comment, my concern, this doesn't look bad. Doesn't it open the door for more things like that? To delete that?
Well,
We have 9 lots, my wife does, and the family down there, she would like to sell to the city. And this provision would allow that, deleting this would allow that. But it's across from you, Stella. But it doesn't look good.
I agree.
I don't think I would allow Teresa to sell those lots to the city.
But tell them the other scenario that we talked about, when the city then has to sell it to someone, so that person can sell it.
Well, I think if the council doesn't want to do that, then I think we just would not buy it. We would just have to do without it. This is, I think what you see is exactly what happened. And like I said, I'm not making excuses or blaming. I'm just saying, I'll put it this way. If I'm sitting up here on this city council table and y'all discuss something right in front of me, and I don't say a word, you're welcome to hold me accountable for that, because my job is to listen and to advise you what to do or not to do. And so, all it would have taken is a little listening, and I think the reality is those provisions, whether it's me or whoever your city attorney is in the future, better know it, because they're darn important.
You're right about that.
Darn important, because I'm telling you, that is only a few provisions that I get very nervous about, and that's any time it's dealing with my councilmen and their futures. It's holding, y'all all put here by the citizens. And what I want you to do is, and what I hope Tommy's the same way, he wants y'all to succeed and be held in high regard and honor for what you do. So everything I do will always be to make sure you don't get and step into it. And so I don't know what happened here, but I do know that it was discussed openly. And that's really the spirit of the conflict of interest provisions, is that you discuss it and you make it open to the public. So if you don't want to do that provision, I understand that completely. We still have, in Brownwood, Texas, we have not changed our charter. Ours still says no interest in contract, just for what you said. Councilman said we haven't had any charter elections, so, at some point, when we do have one, we will address it. But if you ask me, let's do a comprehensive rewrite, make it a modern charter. That's my take on it. You don't have to approve it, because
So does Brownwood have something like that in your?
Brownwood says exactly what yours says today. Exactly.
All right, do they have what you're deleting?
That's what it's saying to have.
Then why do we delete it? Why are we deleting this?
Because we're, just what I said, which is, you told me to draft a charter amendment that would basically be a modern charter, and that's what it is. Now,
Our founding fathers, or whatever you want to call them, put that in there.
exactly. Well, they did, because in 1963, there was no conflict of interest taxes. That's what I was trying to tell you, is that, see, ours changed this way. And we still had that provision. And then somebody added a statement, a charter in 1988, right after the conflict of interest, that said conflict of interest provisions. And how do you reconcile that? If you can't have any interest, but yet you can file a conflict of interest affidavit. So I had to reconcile that, which makes no sense. I mean, because if you got a conflict of interest, basically, that means you're getting 10% or more of your income by statute from that transaction, or you own an interest in the land. So again, and that's in fact, when I talked to the council, that they were told that negated the old charter provision. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Because once you have the language, the rule of law is if you've got it in your charter in a document, they're supposed to try to give meaning, if you ever interpret it, to all words used, because by definition, if it's there for a purpose. So that's why, if you're going with conflicts of interest, go with conflicts of interest. If you're not, keep the existing language in there, and like you said, it's, you'll live, the whole city will live and go on.
Right.
It just, depending, someday, you're going to get somebody on this council that is a lawyer, title lawyer, or a real estate agent that handles hundreds of pieces of property, and we won't be able to buy it or deal with them on that property. They'll have to, drop the case, let somebody else take it. And what we found is we've got a plumber on our council, we've got a lawyer, and these people in Broward, they've got conflicts out the wazoo. And so over time, what Creative, our previous city attorney, God rest his soul, I'm not going to talk bad about him, he tried to come up with creative ways to allow this stuff to go on, to get around that. I don't like it. I mean, I listen. I mean, if we're going to change it, I mean, a lot of these charter provisions right now we talked about tonight, we don't follow them in our charter because they don't work. And so, again, if they don't work, change them. I think that's a provision that's right for not working because of the, like I said, right now, if the city councilman was going to do a transaction with the city, they've got to file Chapter 176 conflicts disclosure. It goes on the web page. You have to announce it. You have to file a conflict of interest affidavit. That goes on the web page. You have to announce it. At the end of the day, and then you have to disclose it. Everybody knows about it. So, does it look good for you buying a piece of property from a city council? I don't think so. It doesn't. No. But if you had to, you could. Otherwise, you can't. So
It's
that's,
just a difficult thing. I'll go with the council.
it's a tough issue. I hear you. I mean, I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think it's what you want, what you want to achieve. And I'd understand fully if you kept it this level.
Let me ask a question. In here somewhere early on, we were talking about what happens if Tommy and the chief, something happens to them simultaneously or something. How does the council, first, it says the council would put somebody in place as a temporary interim city manager. Well, would that interim city manager be the one to hire a new police chief?
Yeah.
Well, what if he had no knowledge? I mean, what?
You have to have our approval. Yeah. He has to be approved by all of us work together. And that's what I said. At the end of the day, you'd hire an interim. You basically sit down with them.
Sergeant will run the departments and everything.
He does.
That interim.
Well, to make sure that we have
Continuity and
ducks in a row there, because the council would be out of that, just once they got an interim city manager.
Well, you get to confirm whoever is appointed. And you might appoint an interim chief. If the chief passed away, involved in a car accident or something like that, I mean, you're going to you're probably going to appoint a new police chief for months. You might go out for a search committee, and so you'd want to promote it.
This would be through the interim city manager.
That's correct.
That's what I'm
it
saying.
behooves us to hire a real city manager sooner.
Yeah, I was in interim for 6 months, and that's the longest 6 months of my life.
So you don't want to do that.
No. Don't do it. That's it. If y'all want to communicate to me anything y'all don't want in here, I mean, anything that y'all hear tonight y'all like to see out?
I'm good with everything.
I think I like that. y'all did some work, y'all can't committee to do it, let citizens decide now. I mean, reword it a little bit like we talked about some places.
What about
That's in my opinion.
I think the provision Bob mentioned, I think is a hot potato. And yeah,
I personally would like to see that in there, but that's just me.
Could
I
you-
would go ahead
you
and
know, leave it the way it is.
that's what I would like, it's there for a reason.
I'm okay with it. I mean, what's up to you guys? I mean, like I said, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's purely up to you.
So it's what you presented, what you said is actually the Brownwood?
No.
Or other cities? No, okay. Other cities.
Other cities that have done charter. We have not had a charter update for 30-something years.
Okay.
Well, we had one for the police chief. We had an elected police chief position. That's the only one we've had in the last 20 years. It was changing from an elected police chief to a appointment. So we decided not to touch any, but we've got a charter that needs a lot of attention. The modern charter amendments are doing what we're doing here.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying to you. Again, I think the biggest thing that we need to have passed from this charter is the council manager form of government. And so, if nothing else, and like I said, I think the main thing is and that's why I think if you want to take out that, I'd be perfectly okay with that. So, anyway, think about it next week, next 2 weeks, when we come back with, and I will clean up some of these provisions, and y'all can discuss it then, and of course, when we present it to the
Sounds
citizens,
long.
we still got, plenty of time to remove it. So, anyway, just think about it. I think that's good input. I'll look at the fire department. I think for me, I'll just have to give it a little thought, but I think what he's put here about the pay, I think what was said right now, that it clarified is paid. I think I'll just leave fire chief. But currently we have a volunteer fire department with a fire chief, and but it gives us the option if we ever wanted to appoint a fire chief who would head up the fire department. Both, I guess you kind of again, I think at the end of the day, the fire department is we basically contracted with the volunteer fire department to perform our services for us.
That's your small thing to do.
Yeah, sure. I understand that.
All right, any other questions, concerns, comments? We good with that?
I'm good.
All right.
Take that pen out there forward.
We're not going to do anything from that. Okay, thank you. Make sure the problems aren't too flat. All right, here's the city administrator, bi-weekly report quickly.
Yes, very quick. Harry was texting me, better make it quick. I have paving update. We're paving in front of the hospital there as weather permits. We're gonna do the whole block. So we're excited about that, getting that knocked out. We're gonna move down another couple of blocks after this little piece and to some of the more serious paving problems in that area. But it'll only be about a block away from this, 2 blocks. I think it's on the other side of the bus barn. So that's the, let's see, the tornado relief effort. This was done last week and we had it right at 8,000. I think it's been boosted to.
Right after we put this number out, there was 2 anonymous donors, one for 3,000 and one for 5,000, so we're up to about 16,000 right now.
Yeah.
And we need to put an effort together with the committee to start looking at it.
And we do have a committee to start distributing this money.
Is this basically for those that were here in town or outside?
This is everybody,
Everybody in the county.
Those affected.
County.
Right.
So there's like
City needs to.
17 from
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, we've got about 20, 25 people of various degrees.
Correct.
Some of them,
Right.
their barns were hit.
Right.
Others, their houses were actually hit. So.
Yeah.
But we got the committee together to start distributing that money. Town hall meeting. We had a town hall meeting. It went good. It was a little chaotic. We weren't set up like we were supposed to. The, it was a success in the fact that about 200 people showed up and we were able to voice their opinions, more or less. And if you didn't know, this was about property.
I read the Facebook post.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which one?
Oh, I'm with you, discussing that.
We got our equipment bids in for the FAST grant, the fireman, fire and ambulance, the emergency response grant. Yes, first responders. That's been turned into the grant administrator. We've applied for basically what it boiled down to is 2 vehicles. We're going to try for some equipment, but the vehicles took up all the money. So, but that is in and it's going forward. Ryan Koenig, with the water plant, will be testing for his B license actually tomorrow. We put in next week because we made this last week. So he'll be testing Tuesday, tomorrow in Abilene at Howard College for his B license. And we're really excited for that. We had a our poly pipe, we had a class for our new guys in the water department to learn how to basically weld the pipe together. And there's lots of formulas and stuff that they went through. They learned a lot. It occurred on the 29th and 30th of June.
May.
Yes.
I was about to ask you, the previous thing you're letting us know is going to happen.
Yeah.
You're supposed to let me know about that.
Well, it happened in May. So that was our fault there. Did we say June? Yep. Also, too, Ryan Koenig is going to start working on our fire hydrant location and marking project. We have various fire hydrants. We need to know if they're working, what kind of condition they're in. We don't want to go up and the hydrant not work. So we're going to start going through, and it's something we're going to do continuously. Process. We haven't been doing it. There's a way you can, put a location on it, mark it, because some have different pressures. It may be attached to a 6-inch line or an 8-inch line or a 10-inch. So when we start marking these hydrants, we'll know. You'll be able to come up and okay, I know this is a 10-inch line, or this is going to have this amount of pressure. So Ryan's going to head that up for us. We're also looking into the fire hydrant repair class because we anticipate we have 2 right now that need to be repaired, and it'll just be more efficient if we can do that. We anticipate we're going to have more than just 2 after we start going through our location and marking. We got some park projects going on. The volleyball and washer pit is in progress. Y'all are able to drive by and see the volleyball pit being constructed. The weather keeps harassing us, the rain, so it's kind of hard to work, but we're supposed to get it before the event on the 29th of June. Our dog park is going forward. Our people that came here asking for the approval, Laura Brown, Galant, and Utilities, they've set a goal of $10,000. They've gone to the Rotary Club, they've gone to the Lions Club, and so hopefully they'll hit that. I know they'll be really close. I know their initial presentation, they said, I believe, up to 6,000, but I talked to them and told them they might need to bump that goal up. That's where they're getting the 10,000.
Did we vote to guess on it, or did we just listen to their presentation?
No,
Did
we
already vote?
voted to proceed.
Okay, good.
We had our pool kickoff party. It was a big success. It was 2 weeks ago. We had about 150 children. The police handed out hot dogs. The park board handed out cotton candy. And so it was. In addition to that, we had a couple of schools classes. The 5th grade class. They had an end of year party there. Well, we had several, and so the ISD was really happy that we were open, just for that occasion. So I think they'd been having to go to San Angelo to the YMCA.
That was a bunch of excited young kids.
Yeah. The ISD was excited about it, so I think we'll see more of that next year.
It was police and fire. And
Yes, and fire. Sorry, Robert. Team movie night. We have our first team movie night scheduled for 20 June.
Can anybody come to that, or do you have to be a team?
I'll refer you to Debbie.
Sorry. What's the,
13 to 19 is what they say.
The May?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have them bring floats and floating like water balls.
And over the Memorial Day weekend,
17.
over the Memorial Day weekend, we had about 25 campers at the lake park. I don't know if anybody ventured out. There was a lot of movement activity.
It looked cool to see it full out there.
It did. It looked really good.
That's a dock fixed yet.
They did. It is, and people are catching the fish off of it.
How did they fill that pool that was out there?
With North Runnels water that we paid for.
I was gonna ask about that also. Somebody brought a 3-foot pool, set it up.
Another pool you get at Walmart. They brought their own swimming pool.
Well, I was gonna,
Oh, yeah.
Deep there, a full
oh, yeah, 15-foot diameter.
Little kids or something?
Yeah.
It was a big pool. It was about as big as this whole council area.
On the pool, the park board is planning on addressing that at our next meeting on how to put controls with the water or payments or something, because it's too expensive for us to pay for that water.
It was ridiculous.
It is making.
That probably cost us all the profits of the weekend.
That is North Runnels, that's for sure.
What else is there?
Bad idea, but bring your own water.
One thing,
It was a
We
big
have
one.
pump at the lake park.
15
Pump it out of the lake, that lake was done, you know.
Filter on it if you don't like it.
Yep.
Cool.
So that's it. That's it for my picks.
Awesome. All right, here request for future agenda items from city council.
Charter.
Yes, that's it. Anything else? Anybody else?
No, nothing I can think of right now.
Better digital copy next time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Last and
Well, yeah, we've started our first foray into our digital copies versus the packets
Which I'm all for.
being delivered to the city council.
Can
So,
I stay with the package? Or?
yes, Bob is grandfathered in.
Yeah, you better grandfather me too.
Well, if we're doing the digital, are we
Because I have to go
looking
get
at
it.
a digital format that we will have, or are we going to be expected to print our own or bring our own computers? That's my question.
Well, and we're also, in one of the past council meetings, we're just gonna look at, getting, tablets, yes. And we have looked and found a tablet that we like, and so we're gonna start moving forward.
Has it been tested as far as those that like to take notes?
Yes.
If we get them transitioned and different things that we can do with it, that we'd like to do now.
Debbie, do you like it?
Can you take notes right there on the screen while you're doing?
Debbie's technical experience to Bob's experience, or to
Well,
Rich's experience. to
no,
Bob's
Old
experience.
dogs can be taught new tricks.
She's doing it right now.
I'll do, hold on.
So I mean, and this is, I think that's the computer, isn't it?
no, there's the
This
first
is,
one.
this one's
That
mine.
that was,
what kind of tablet is it?
This is an iPad.
but the one we were looking at was a Windows, what is that, Corey?
Surface Go, I believe.
service.
I don't know if we need as much, because those were, I think, 500 or 600. These are, and I think we could get by with the Amazon Fire for as little as it be used here. I mean, that's y'all's goal.
Amazon Fire handle all the tools we'll need to look at.
Well, I mean, really, all you're
notes
gonna
and-
do, you have that PDF and, you know, like, so.
I'm sure you can get here and be frustrated.
Yep.
It's not hard to do with me.
I would not inform that either.
See, we have to get to the technical side of Jason, and we get to the intermediate side of, you know, picking.
$500 or $600 for a good test.
As long as I see big enough so I can read it, I don't care.
Well, yeah, that might be, we're making my laptop.
I'm telling you, I had to use it on
At least you'd have a mouse or anything.
Well, I mean, how much was an iPad?
You get it.
It depends, I mean.
The thing with that, when I originally thought about this with the tablet, is I can use a stylus to write notes.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to hear a bunch of while we're up here.
Which I have the whole time.
Yeah, and I didn't hear you that, but all of us together,
Yeah.
it might make some noise.
See, I have an old, like the original Amazon Fire, and I tried it on that, and you can do the notes and stuff on there. That's why.
Well, give me one next time to try. I mean, let me try it. Let me be the guinea pig and see.
Okay, you try it, Mommy.
Yeah, because I can do the test subject, but I don't mind. Let me do it for one meeting.
But you're at the higher end, what I'm saying is we need
Well,
to
yeah,
the higher end and
right.
the lower end to make sure it's gonna work for everybody. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I agree. You might need to do it that way.
It's gonna have different curves.
One of the old guys.
Rick wants to be.
Yeah, and another two pencils.
Bob heard you, he didn't have to.
Did you see that? I have still have those that I can go back to with my marginal notes. I'm staying with
Two
it.
pencils, that suits me fine.
Alright. Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Aye.
Second? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you.